Maianthemum racemosum, false Solomon seal at the deer house. Maianthemum racemosum, subspecies amplexicaule, false or true Solomon seal, or false, true, feathery false Solomon seal. Lots of name changes with plant Botanicaistas these days. Here's the plant that I use for my plant medicine. I make medicine with the plants. It's what I do. I work from the place where I am. And I think that where the most important thing in my herbal medicine is where. Where is always a question. I'm not so involved with what's going to happen with the where after I work with it, because that is outside. It's outside of what I can address and compensate for. So with the medicine road that I'm on at this time, it's all about where. Where these plants are growing is important. It is about the house of the plant. So I am looking for the plant's house, just like I look for the deer house. I spend some time up at the deer house looking for the deer house and the deer who create the plant songs and stories. I always acknowledge Creator who brings us this plant medicine road and put these plants here for us. For me, I think deer is in charge of putting the plant medicine in front of us. And of course, there are teachers that come and go and sometimes drop plants right in front of us. I've seen this happen when we seek them out. Some of the old teachers, they're not even alive in the sense of having a body anymore, but they're dropping the plants down right in front of you sometimes, and you find them. Of course, they were connected with Deer House and the Deer House teachers, and in that way, since they were still connected to them. Where is who holds for us the question? Now, sometimes I'll meet someone and they'll say, where can I find that? How am I going to find that medicine? Where can I buy it? So we're using words in this way to talk plant story, and it's going this way and that way. And sometimes we have to ask some questions to find out if we're on the same page with it. First of all, if it's a simple question, where can I find it? What store can I buy it in? I'll pretty much tell you straight out, you can't buy medicine. You can make medicine, that you can do, yet you can't buy medicine, because medicine is connection. You can't buy connection. Connection is what describes your being outside of the words, numbers, labels. So you can't use the things that you usually use to remedy the situation of disconnection. Maybe I can help share a connection. Maybe I can do that. Maybe I can't. I think the more that I think about it, medicine is a verb. It's not a noun. In this whole illusion of disconnect kind of world that we're supporting in different ways, makes itself known a lot of times in our language, in our thinking process. You see this a lot of time with things like, maybe for example, basketball. Someone might say basketball, and it's one of those words that's supposed to be an action, something you do, an activity. Yet somehow, in this illusion of disconnect world, it's been connected into a passive thing. So if someone says basketball, they may be talking about eating chips and salsa in front of the TV. And they make in their minds all this into a kind of basketball. Let me tell you, this is not basketball. Basketball is a game that you play with a ball, running around outside, dribbling the ball outside, shooting it. You're jumping up and down, you're yelling, screaming, giving a high five now and then. Your body's sweaty, your heart rate is up. It's beating fast. Okay, this is basketball. Now, eating chips in front of the TV with salsa and guacamole is not basketball. We could call it eating chips and salsa in front of the TV ball, or make up a new word for it that somehow has never been said before, yet it's nothing to do with basketball. And it's the same way with medicine. It is the same way with our bioregional plant medicines, with our plant medicines, with our medicine. It is the same way with our spirit songs that the deer house keepers bring to us now and then when we're ready for them. With medicine, it's all about a heart connection. With our medicine, it is about a profound connection with the heart that goes from our heart into our feet, from our feet into the ground, from the ground into the earth, and from the earth it becomes a route. And that route is our heart medicine roadway. Now, in that way, there is something happening with health and with healing. Now, going to the store is fine. There's nothing wrong with going to store and getting what you need. And anyone who tells you anything different is just creating a problem where no problem exists. And yet, going to a store is going to a store. And making medicine is making medicine. And it's very true. I haven't been to all the stores, so it's very possible that there is such a place as a store that sells medicine. Yet it's very, very important to know that if you're going to a store, you are going to a store. And if you're going to a store, then where you are going is the store. And going to a store is a fine thing to do and a fine way to spend your time. It's what we do as human beings. We go to store, we buy things. Medicine or plant medicine, though, is something else. Going to the medicine is not going to the store. And though there may be medicine stores, it's important to realize that going to the store is going to the store, and making plant medicine is making plant medicine. Now, going to some store and laying down a couple frog skins or sliding a little plastic down, buying something in a bottle or a bag and then going home and then putting it in your mouth, this is like eating chips and salsa with guacamole in front of the TV and calling it basketball. This is not basketball, it's chip eating. And maybe the chips you were eating are really good organic kale chips, and maybe the avocado is organic from Ecuador. And the salsa is, maybe it's made from Himalayan goji berries, Even then, even if it's all so good in that way, still, it's not basketball. So we have to make sure that our herbalism is a dribbling the ball, running, jumping, sweat in our eyes, with our hearts beating fast kind of herbalism. Herbalism basketball, and not an organic chip eating salsa guacamole in front of the TV herbalism. Maianthemum racemosum, back to the Solomon seals. It's here and there. It's up at the higher mid elevation at Deer House. The Solomon seal, the false Solomon seal, feathery false and whatnot. Lots of name changes. You pick a name. Maybe Deer House root seal or deer root seal. Anyway, lily of the valley looking like that reminds me of the childhood days, sitting underneath the shade of the apple trees. So this is how you put up all of these plant medicines and grow in your medicine bag. You find somebody to show it to you, and then you'll know what it is. You can spend a little time with it. Taste a few leaves. See where it grows. Smell it. Taste it. Touch it. Be with it. Then you'll know what it is. Then you know how it is, why it is, when it is, where it is. The connection comes from connection. The connection does not come from disconnection. The connection is a process of being with the place, with the plant, in the place of the plant. Now, on questions and answers, All these kinds of questions will come up. The best way is never look for answers. Always look for questions. It's not about finding, it's about asking. So it's like when you're at school and someone comes up to you and whispers, "Do you have the answers for the test?" So this time you tell them, No, I don't have the answers, but I have the questions." The questions always belongs to you. The answers don't belong to you. The answers will be coming from someone else. So if you ask a question, someone else's why will answer it. That someone else is outside of you. The answer is always outside of you. So even if someone gives you a test and the test has 20 questions and you answer them all correctly, if those questions were not your questions, then the answers cannot be your answers. You have to ask your own questions. You have to write your own test. And then, if you want to answer them, you can do that. But it's up to you. The question is not going this way and that way. It's not like the arctial branch that's blowing this way and that way in the wind, going this way and that way, whichever way the wind is blowing. The question is like the arctial roots that are standing still, always supporting the arctial, always creating new arctial branches. We ask arctial questions that go deep down into the earth, and they don't really move this way and that. They just sit there, deep in the earth, pulling up the nutrients, pulling up all the water, even if the earth is dry, even if there is no rain, somehow. These arctial roots are making rain. They're pulling up water from stone. And our questions have to be like these arctial roots that go so deep that they can perform the impossible, like creating water from rocks, finding water in the desert where everything is dry. This is the way our questions have to be, pulling up everything that it needs to make the plant medicine, to make the arctial medicine. The question is what you have inside of you, so it belongs to you. The question is the root that you have that makes anything you do possible. It is the question that makes the impossible possible. Now here's a footnote. Having the question is not the same thing as asking the question. We are looking for questions. We hold our questions. You may meet someone who's always talking, saying, "Oh, what's this? What's that? What do I do now? What kind of plant is this one? Is this in the same family as parsley? Or is this a different plant? Or is it the same as the plant Hao Do Jing in Chinese medicine?" You know, all these kinds of questions, that is like questions jumping out of the mouth, and that is like the arctial branches swaying in the wind. Now, the questions we ask are silent, deep questions with the roots. The roots are pulling up the nutrients very slowly. They're not like the arctial branches waving this way and that way in the wind. We are holding the question. We are not answering the question. We are holding the question. We are not answering questions. That is not what we're doing. We are not asking questions outside of ourselves. Our herbal medicine requires of us to look for questions. As herbalists, we look for questions. As a bioregional herbalist, you cultivate questions. You worship authentic questions. It is only by having a deep, burning, abiding question that you can take it to the next step of breakthrough. What we are trying to do here with our bioregional herbal medicine is to have a question and to hold that question. Hold it like you couldn't leave asking the question for someone else, because having the question and asking the question are two different things. Now, Maianthemum racemosum, the false Solomon seal, growing this kind of a way, soft, the north side of shady, cooling, moon story, wind sheltered, likes to spend time with poison ivy, so watch out. or you get all kinds of welts and wet, itchy hives, because where Maianthemum racemosum is, so is poison ivy. Now, with herbalism and the plant medicine road, we're going for a smooth, gradual shift that is of itself connection. So in that way, it's not a sudden revolution like a heroic medicine. It's a slow, gradual shift we're working on. We're working on slow shift of the roots, a root shift. As you look at the acacia root, you realize that they're deep in the ground, invisible, yet working all the time behind the scenes, making things happen slowly, pulling up the nutrients. And that's the shift we're going for. It's about nourishing. It's about becoming. If you look at the leaves of the acacia, if you look at the branches and tips of the acacia with their brilliant, sweet swelling, red, orange-red acacia flowers, you'll see them moving in the wind back and forth in whatever way the wind moves. Now, this is how heroic herbalism functions. Heroic medicine is on the very periphery of the leaves, top branches. In heroic medicine, we go from symptom to symptom. And as we know from allopathic medicine, from side effects to side effects, from side effects to symptom of the side effects, to the side effects of the solution, we create more side effects. So we need to address more symptoms, and we just keep going around and around in a circle. Like the acacia branches, way at the top of the plant, with a lot of movement, yet not a lot of direction. The direction we are seeking is self thus, from the inside of the being, from the roots, which as nature is flowing from homeostasis and healing, without a thought or plan, always becoming real healing movement. The heroic herbalism of the acacia branches is kind of going without any plan. We are jumping. We're suddenly and impulsively acting. And we're jumping in the air. Now we're landing on our feet awkwardly, maybe falling down after jumping too high, and trying to attend to our balance. We're practicing to be very anxious and very fluttering, like the very tips of the leaves of the acacia. We're always reacting. Acting without a center is the anxiety illness way. A lot of people in this illness disconnect kind of situation become very familiar and close to their emotions, and will put a lot of value and importance to their emotional states. A lot of people, when they think of emotions, they think of emotions as in their heart. They'll say something like, my emotions, my feelings. They think of emotions as something that are very deep and central to their being, yet emotions are very much with the leaves and branches of the acacia. Emotions are very much at the surface. They are not at the heart. We may feel emotions in our heart, but they are not central to our being. In fact, they are a symptom of the illusion of disconnect. In fact, if you want to find a situation of imbalance, then focus on the emotions. If you want to increase your disconnect, then center your focus on emotions. Work with your emotions if you want to stagnate and go nowhere. Emotions can only take us a very short distance because they are at the surface. Emotions are like the very top orange-red flowers of the acacia. They go this way in the wind, they go that way in the wind. Maybe a rain will fall, and then there will be leafy green branches. Then it will dry and become warm, and the leaves will fall. These are like flowers. The opening is short, very quickly. And even though they were important, they are not central to the function and being of the acacia. Yes, we need flowers for reproduction. And as we know, the emotions are very important for romance, feelings of love and whatnot, the heightened sense of sexuality. Yet, this is not central to the relationship. The relationship between a man and a woman is centered on long-standing, deep commitment coming from the roots. Maianthemum racemosum, false Solomon seal. This is a great medicine for the joints and the soft connective tissue, the cartilage and sinews. For the whole body system, it is a spring tonic, restorative and blood purifier. In terms of the old ways of talking plant story, Maianthemum racemosum has an amazing opening quality of healing that engenders soft tissues to be restored, especially in the areas of injury. I learned about this from friend John. He knows it good and he helped me out with it, straightened me out by it. This great plant medicine has many uses and is valuable for anyone who has arthritic sore joints or recent injuries to the body, to the soft tissues of the body, the cartilage, sinew, and ligaments. It is an amazing healing herb found in our desert southwest mountains. Here you can see the knobby roots, which are used as one of our powerful plant medicines. This medicine is found at mid-high elevation on more north-facing hillsides. It is a powerful yin medicine growing on the north side of slopes and is definitely a great healer for athletes with their strong yang, go, go, go constitutional thing. So when you see the plant, you see it growing where it is. Where it is a lot of the work of what it is. Where it is can answer the question of what is it for? Even with all this sort of good questioning, it's still very hard to answer who is it for. You have to look deeper and look away from the plant to see what nurses and nourishes the plant. The most important part of her medicine is in this way is that slow, gentle shift. And although heroic medicine with herbs is done and will be done, it's better to go with this slow change. It's going to last a long time. You can go from symptom to symptom and analyze the symptoms with a microscope, even down to the level of the blood cell, and then take it further. Take a bigger, stronger microscope and look beyond the blood cell to the actual chemical components. All these elements that are in the blood. Yet, whatever it is, that is what it is. So we can really only go so far with heroic medicine. And then we have to say, okay, feed the body, nourish, rest, recreate the body, hydrate the body, get the body ready for action, actionate the body, act, move, do. This nursing and nourishing of the body with the plant medicines comes from the relationship that the plant had with where it is, how it's growing, and what it's doing in the place where it is. So with Maianthemum racemosum Solomon seal of the false Solomon seal, what we have is the plant growing in a very cool, shady spot. Its roots are in a rich, black, well-drained soil. Its slope be in hilly areas, as I said, there are big trees, a shady spot with creeping vines, Vitis arizonica, wild grapevines, Ruus radicans, poison ivy, ponderosa pines, raspberry, juglans major, walnut. And if you are listening, you can hear the soft gurgling of water from the snow melt above coming down the creek, and the water's cold and clear. And here and there you may see hummingbirds gathering nectar, gathering pollen, making their medicine, following their medicine roads. So this is a very calm, peaceful place. Shady. Even in the hot sun, it's still cool. It's still very gentle and soft. And even if the wind is blowing very hard up above the tops of the mountain, down here, it's not very windy. And this is the place where Maianthemum racemosum is making medicine. When we make plant medicine, when we take these plant medicines, we are taking in the relationship of the place into our body for healing. So we're taking that very cool energy of the mountain into the insides of our joints. We're taking this soft north side of the mountain energy of moistness and bringing it into our very windy, very dry, hot joints that have become crackly like static electricity, very dry and brittle. We're trying to bring in something very cooling to this hot, sticky kind of irritable situation. It's happening in our knees and elbows and whatnot, and we're bringing in the false Solomon seal. We are calling it, or calling in the medicine, or calling on the deer house, calling in the medicine girl, calling on the medicine girl, and all that knowledge of the deer house, and all the deer house teachers, and all those lineages and that people that lived in those stone houses way up there on the mountain and used those medicines. We were asking all that to come inside. We're asking all of it to calm down. Come down. We're asking for the slow, gentle shift of beauty and harmony to our joints, in our knees, in our elbows, in all the parts of the body. So in that way, we're making some medicine with the false Solomon seal, with Maianthemum, racemosum.